Well, hi everybody. I'm John Rethlin. This is my review of WWE NXT for January 22nd. And it's the final stop before Worlds Collide where NXT and NXT UK smash together. And who knows what the fuck's going to happen when these men and these women smash each other over and over and over. It's a lot of smashing and everything going on. It's a smashing good time. I'm going to stop trying to offend the few UK fans that are still watching this, but that's going to be pretty exciting. And if you haven't checked it out, myself and the Derbinator did predictions for Worlds Collide and Royal Rumble, audio only, but check it out. It is here on the channel. So with that being said, they did have some video packages hyping up the various World Collide matches, which it's going to be interesting to see, who they want to put over proper. Do they want to get more people just to watch NXT because it's on USA? Or do they want to get more people to watch NXT UK? They're probably going to have to make it about 50-50 and just hope more people tune into weekly NXT UK. But anyway, I digress. We start off pretty much, after some recaps, we have Fish and O'Reilly versus the grizzled young veterans, Zach Gibson and James Drake. Semi-final match for the Dusty Classic. This wasn't bad. This was pretty well done. Nigel being very pro-Brit, as you would expect. Drake did get targeted for a bit, then O'Reilly got targeted for a while. Yet everybody get in here after, a bunch of moves. It was some good psychology. Fish and O'Reilly and Gibson and Drake are two teams that, while they can turn it up and do a bunch of moves, they do add some psychology to them. They do try to put a little bit of meaning behind that, especially Fish and O'Reilly, who have been working together for so goddamn long. Imperium does show up on the little, the little partition right behind the announcer's desk, and they're all like, hey, it's like where William Regal said, I got a very simple solution. War games, that, where he stood up. It's like this freaking podium. Imperium distracts, and then suddenly Ticket to Mayhem, 1, 2, 3. O'Reilly gets pinned. The grizzled young veterans beat the NXT Tag Team Champions, which is a smart move. And the reason it's a smart move is this frees them up, and then that way they aren't going to be part of the Dusty Classic, and they can focus on the 8-man tag that's likely going to main event Worlds Collide. So we then get a little video package of Shotzi Blackheart, and you can't out-crazy Shotzi Blackheart. And she eliminated Shayna Baszler last week, and she's going to beat her this week about that. We get Io versus Tony, and I was perfectly fine. Io Shirai and Toni Storm, perfectly goddamn fine. Nobody was fine during this. These two women are super talented. Io is leagues better than pretty much any woman on the WWE roster, and she's leagues better than some of the men. I mean, she is just that goddamn good. I like Toni Storm. I can understand why she might not be everybody's cup of tea. I've seen her live. I've seen her improve. Io, of course, is the more experienced worker here. This was still a good match with some good strikes. They've worked together in Japan before, so this was some good stuff. I enjoyed this. Io did have some great heel work. Tony did come back, but then Bianca Belair, ruining the match and everything because she did, win the Women's Battle Royal to earn the right to face Rhea Ripley, to lose to Rhea Ripley at TakeOver Portland. I mean, because that's what's going to fucking happen. Bianca's not going to win the championship. We have that. She causes a DQ. Rhea comes down, and we get a bit of a big old schmoz between these women. And then Toni Storm is in the ring and holds the NXT Women's Championship aloft and gets booed. Now, that's because Rhea's pretty goddamn over, but that's pretty telling. They may, want to take it easy on what they do with Toni. I'm not saying pull back completely, but if they're going to have her in the Royal Rumble, which they should, they've only announced a few women as of the recording of this review for the Women's Royal Rumble, but have Toni Storm have a good showing, but don't be too forceful with it. I mean, Rhea's pretty goddamn over. Keep the title on her for a while, at least until, I would say, the takeover right before SummerSlam. And then you could have her lose it, and then she could be up on Raw or SmackDown at some point. But yeah, she did get booed. That was certainly something. It surprised me, but Full Sail doesn't really pull punches. We then get Undisputed Era talking about the Dusty Classic and helping Roderick Strong retain the North American Championship against Keith Lee tonight. About that. We get an Ilya Dragunov video package. He's going to be facing Finn Balor at Worlds Collide. And then we get Finn Balor versus Joaquin Wilde. Easy for me to say. It was a squash. I don't even think Wilde got in like one move. If he got in any moves, it wasn't much. Finn says, you come at Finn, you better not miss. You come at the Prince, you come at the King, whatever, you better not miss. 1916 / Bloody Sunday, 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's your lot. And Finn, of course, just, doing everything he can to heal it up. It's hard to root against Finn, but honestly, this was a pretty good squash. I felt bad for, the former DJZ, having met him at a couple Without a Cause shows last year. I feel very bad for him, but I know he's going to get back on the right track and he's going to have some good showings, because this was just Balor getting over. We then get Shayna saying she will go through every single girl in that locker room to become Shayna 3-time. Probably not the best verbiage right there. We then get Shotzi Blackheart versus Shayna Baszler. There were times where this was good. There was times where this was sloppy. Shotzi's a very good worker and a very experienced worker despite being so young. Shayna, despite her age and despite her different style, does work well with some people. Now, I haven't been the biggest fan of Shayna's title reign, and I got pretty bored of it, and some of the matches are very samey, but sometimes she can pull off some good moves and have some good matches. This was a nice little TV match, but there were some botches, so I'm not really sure what the deal was. I'm not exactly sure why there were botches. That being said, these things happen. I'm not going to fault these women. Maybe the chemistry just wasn't there. When the chemistry did pop, these women could put on a good show. So who knows? We might see this match down the road on a Raw or SmackDown, possible. Because Shayna's coming up, in the Royal Rumble. If she's not in the Women's Royal Rumble match, I will be very surprised. Fuck, put her in the Men's Royal Rumble match. She'd probably do pretty well in that. I mean, they put Nia Jax in there, so who the fuck knows? I enjoyed this, though. Shotzi did do a little bit of a hit and run, and then Shayna did take over. There was at one point a sliced bread on the apron, as we know, the hardest part of the ring. But then soon after, Shotzi goes for a senton. Shayna rolls out of the way, gets a Terrafuda clutch on, and even though Shotzi almost got out of it, nope, they roll, and, it's like a gator roll, do a barrel roll, and Shayna catches her in it, locks it in, Shotzi taps. There was no doubt Shayna was going to win here. Shayna did say in a promo she's not going to go anywhere. Shayna is going somewhere. She's going to go up to the Rumble. There's just, what point is there? If you want to keep her in NXT for a little bit and have her put a couple people over and bring her up after Mania, fine. But have her have a good showing in the Women's Royal Rumble. Like, really, there isn't anything else for her to do in NXT. It's probably just a way to throw people off. We then get a Dakota Kai Tegan Nox package. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this feud. Even though it was pre-tape stuff, Tegan and Dakota said that scripted stuff at least with enough conviction to where I believed it to an extent. Because women that don't get a lot of promos, you kind of, get a one-shot thing. And look, to be fair, these two are actual legit friends, and the fact that they have been able to, build up this feud, hey, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. I'm going to be keeping my eye on this. We will see. I think it's going to be taking place to TakeOver Portland. That's going to be an interesting takeover. Now, Portland's only 4 hours from me, and I'm still not going because February, winter, I really don't want to risk getting snowed in because that's a bit of a weird area. And also, sorry, I'm not driving 4 hours for any wrestling show. I don't care what it is. Except the Super J Cup when I drove, when I drove 70 miles and it took about 3 hours because Washington traffic is a bitch. But anyway, bitchy traffic aside, I enjoyed this Tegan Nox Dakota Kai package. Angel Garza, he has an interview about the Worlds Collide four-way that he's going to be part of. He doesn't feel the pressure. He doesn't play his game, he'll test you. And if you know what that is, psychosomatic, addict, insane. Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne versus Imperium. Eichner and Bartel. This was good. This was good stuff. I would say this was about on par with the other tag match. The other one had a more shocking result. I knew that once Undisputed Era lost in the first match that Imperium was not going to make it to the finals, and they didn't. There was one point where Dunn just hits this hell of a clothesline. I mean, it's this friggin' axe bomber clothesline, just knocks the shit. It was out of one of the two Imperium members. I don't remember. I think it might have been Bartel, but good guy. He just friggin' clocked him. It was amazing. Walter does end up distracting because Imperium is there, and Walter and Dunn having us stare down flashbacks to take over New York last year. Dunn does get beat up for a bit, actually favors his knee because he tweaked his knee, he was selling his knee and everything. Gets some nice double teaming from both teams. Riddle with the bro hammer, not the jackhammer, 1-2. Everybody get in here. We're doing the Harvey Birdman thing again, and even despite the fact it looked like Imperium might get the victory, in the end, weird double teaming. It was like a carryover into like an enziguri kick, 1, 2, 3. Bit of an odd double team, but the Broserweights get the victory. And then there is Zach Gibson and James Drake come out and they're talking to Riddle and Dunn as they're by the Dusty Classic Trophy. And Zach Gibson says the term joint manipulation and then talks to Dunn and says, every time we've wanted to take next step, you've been the roadblock. Oh, end of the line. I'm always going to say that because that's just how stupid that freaking saying was. It was pretty funny though because when Riddle said, "It's like I'm sorry, bro, but I tuned out. I didn't hear anything you said. You said something about joint manipulation. I want to hate that. I really want to. That was funny. That was stupid. It was so fucking stupid, but it was so funny. It really was. And the crowd was chanting, Riddle's going to smoke you. That means something vastly different, Florida. You might want to be careful. Not judging, but you do realize that maybe that doesn't just have to do with joints. So anyway, Keith Lee versus Roderick Strong, North American Championship, Undisputed Era at ringside. They would factor into this. This was a nice match. We're still telling the story of Keith Lee's ankle having been attacked before. He's such a big old bear of an athlete, though. He could power out of a lot of what Roderick Strong was doing, but Roderick Strong would just keep beating down the ankle, targeting the ankle, beating him down. It was just really good psychology. I'm figuring, okay, Undisputed Era is going to factor in, and we're going to get Keith Lee coming close, but not quite getting the victory. I would have been horribly wrong. Lee would not quit, even though Roderick got an ankle lock at one point. Undisputed Era kept interfering. Lee's ankle kept getting beat up, and even though Lee at one point pounced Roderick Strong, and he took a scary bump over the ropes, didn't quite clear it, and then kind of caught the apron. Everybody tried to catch him, so they did a pretty good job there, but it looked scary. But suddenly it looked like Roderick is going to get the victory after all of Undisputed Era had been knocked down. He hit the huge knee strike, went for another one. Nope. Suddenly, big bang catastrophe. The fireman's carry into the freaking jackhammer. 1, 2, 3. New North American heavyweight champion, Keith Lee. And I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I mean, honestly, Keith Lee's had the rocket put up to him. It will be very interesting to see if he's going to be in the Rumble and how good of a showing he has. Imagine if he wins. Imagine, him winning the North American Championship and he suddenly wins the Royal Rumble. I mean, he's not going to, but just imagine if he won the Royal Rumble. How weird would that be? It would just be so bizarre because then he could challenge Brock for the championship at WrestleMania. That would just be so bizarre. Great for him winning the North American Championship, though. Now, I'm going to surprise some people with this because, look, NXT sometimes, just a bit of a brief sidebar here, NXT at times can be a good show and still, it's like bubblegum. I won't remember quite a bit of it afterwards. This was one of those episodes. This is a good episode. I'm probably not going to remember much of anything from this. None of the matches here were like something I got to put on my favorite matches of the year list. But was it an enjoyable episode? Oh, yeah. So I'm going to say B. B. It was an enjoyable show. Maybe a pull up here. So going forward, depending on if like snow were to hit, like last week, I did Dynamite and the Derb did NXT. If snow does hit during the month of February and in the beginning of March, and I don't want to travel out on Wednesdays, Derb may do some of those NXT reviews. Now, no pressure, that's his choice, but that is the reason why he made a one-night return. So thank you guys very much for tuning in to the review. I really do appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.